That awkward moment when you think you're watching Delicious in Dungeon, but it's Made in Abyss all along. Granted, Made in Abyss is still objectively more horrifying, but you can't deny those final moments, man. Like, hopefully that's enough for Resurrection, because I don't know. Right now we have a skull and a staff, but there's a lot of stuff mixed together. Like, what happened? Like, is this going to be a situation where we don't have like a rib or something and she gets revived and she's gushing? I don't know. I just kind of expect the worst. But hopefully this is all's well that ends well, right? Because not only did we just witness the best dragon fight you could ask for, like, how that shit was all hand drawn. It was so well animated. It was just beautiful. The moments of carving, playing Minecraft through this dragon's stomach, opening it up to nothing in utter defeat, as then our boy realizes that, wait a second, I know where to look as well. And I'm worried, like, okay, he's explaining, like, this is like the fuel for its fire. Like, did we burn through part of her body? How much of her body do we need? I'm running through all these things, and we're playing Red Dead Redemption, cutting open this shit, looking in, and this is what we find. I really hope it all goes well next week. I mean, it's just, the brilliance about this show is that when it gets darker, it doesn't just smear blood everywhere. Like, whether it was, attaching the leg again and how it did the bubbling effects. Like, it gets you unnerved without being, like, blood splatter across the screen or really trying to get into those extra details to make it seem as edgy as possible. They tiptoe this line of being kind of gross to absolutely like, holy shit, I can see the pain in these characters for obvious reasons. But like, when I see what looks to be Red Dragon Part 1, I'm thinking it's going into next week. I don't know what we're doing. But that was a 10 out of 10 banger of an episode. And had this not been a 2-core, I would have been fine leaving the show after probably next week. But thank God it's going into next season. I, of course, have a full live reaction to today's wonderful, if not best episode of Delicious in Dungeon over on my Patreon if you want to see my full uncut thoughts. They're over there if you're interested alongside any of these wonderful episodes. Now, as a dungeon enthusiast, this delicious in dungeon connoisseur, I have appreciated this show since the very beginning. I even boldly claim that I thought it was going to be Trigger's magnum opus when it was all said and done. And hell, man, the second half of this show could suck because production falls off the rails, and I'd probably say it at this point. Like, this show has proven itself to be exactly what I expect to see from Studio Trigger. They picked a source material that clicks with their wheelhouse, but most importantly, they took all that experience from all these amazing shows they produced and really just crafted something that's so stellar. The number of times just simple art direction shifts will happen, not in the way of like the normal Trigger-isms, but more so just like this more sketch-like design, whether for like a shocked horror-like face or maybe like an emotional backstory scene of some sort. It just really captures the mood. But what I really appreciate about this dragon fight is how it's unlike anything I've seen with other dragon fights. There's only one spot, well, I guess technically 2 spots, that would be vulnerable on this dragon. The eyes and underneath the neck. So the plan was to obviously crumble the building on it, which they use some runes all around it. They're chasing. They use the pots, which obviously one character is withstanding of the heat because they cook on it all the time. The other is burning his little fingers off. And the plan was good, but then when it gets up, because of course that's like, maybe if you put like a skyscraper on the dragon, it might keep Godzilla down, but that little bit wasn't gonna do it. I mean, it was a good honest try, but that's about all we could do. And just the way it continued to escalate, and I'm getting Attack on Titan flashbacks. I'm like, god damn, this is season 1 with Eren losing a leg here, because like our boy was about to be a meal. And just the fact that they didn't go edgy, like this is another thing, it's not even just like how they discovered her body, it's the way they killed this dragon, or even he lost his leg. It's brutal, but it's like a realistic, because the dragon didn't really have time to like munch him, right? Like basically he had him by the kneecap down, so he was gonna lose a leg regardless. But the fact that this is such a vulnerable like artery and whatnot, like a stab with a normal longsword like halfway through, it causes the dragon to completely bleed out and just die. And it's a very realistic scene, and I think maybe for some people expecting it was gonna be some grand, here's this big, because in anime fashion, character has a big flaming greatsword, just go extraordinary, go this explosive, oh my god, Konosuba level explosion. No, they didn't do that. They went very realistic with it, and because of that, it just let it feel more important. One of the shockers was that finally some character realized that wait a second, that sword ain't normal. Chilchuck, as they're both laying underneath the dragon, realizes that the sword moved on its own, and he's just like, bruh, I ain't forgiving you for keeping, like, that a secret, but we'll cross that bridge later. We got other fish to fry right now, but you got some explaining to do. Honestly, I thought the sword was gonna move on its own and kill the dragon. No, that thing was just scared. It was scared and ran, which I guess I can understand. It is a big red dragon, but, you know, it is what it is. I appreciate, too, that every character had relevance in this fight. You know, Chilchuck is the reason the dragon got blinded, which in return allowed us to pretty much get the jump on it. Marcel obviously did a lot of the magic stuff and the explosions and really being great support. Senshi, even if he broke his axe or this or that, I mean, he really was the main kind of, like, defense and kind of getting the jump on the dragon throat, and of course our boy is literally the one who finished off the dragon. So everyone worked together and were useful. No one, like, was dead weight. They all pulled their weight, and I appreciate that. As I've said over multiple videos in this series, is that when you look at this show and how it handles monsters that you've seen in dungeons, they always are different than what you've seen. Like, they take familiar ideas but make them their own. And while I'm sure there are stories that have done similar things, it's not a common enough thing that I really appreciate the fact that Delicious in Dungeon added that extra detail. When a dragon breathes fire, usually it's like, oh, it's from the pits of its stomach and it goes up. It was like flint and steel. Every time the dragon wanted to breathe fire, you heard the sparks. It was like it's like you're moving a light, you know, you're flicking your lighter, you're trying to get the spark ignited. And then when that happened, that's when the flame would go. The fact that it wasn't just like an immediate, okay, he's gonna burn you, he burns you. No, he had to charge it. He had to get the spark going, and then he would breathe fire. Such a cool detail, and the sound effects were fantastic. Like, seriously, if you didn't watch this episode with headphones, I recommend it. There was a lot of, like, cute little attention to detail moments with the sound direction that just added to that immersion. But the fight was animated beautifully. Like, I don't think there was a single piece of 3D in this entire episode. Well, there probably was, because there's always 3D, even if you don't notice it, whether it's how they composite the episodes or whatever. But in terms of, like, noticeable, like, Dragon was 3D, or the characters were, like, it was just, the show is beautiful. It is top to bottom, left to right. It is drop dead gorgeously produced. In Studio Trigger do we trust. Absolutely stunning episode. I hope we have enough to revive. I hope it's all gonna go smoothly. But now where do we go with Core 2? I'm interested to see where they're gonna take this, because like with many, I thought this would happen at the end of 24 episodes, not by episode 11. But let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and of course ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Willow W, Pickrick, 542, Thor Linsgard, Vey, Anthony Silva, and Mac Vell. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Have a good one.